I did not. We'll bring it up.
I'd like it.
It's on my desk.
One on the,
One on the website. I told everyone that. That's the paper I want this to reflect what I'm saying. Yes, really. We got 3 losses. Well, the biggest thing that I wanted. Yes.
Mariah, do you have all the properties?
I have them digital, so I can pull them up. So when we go to that section, we'll refer to the on-screen. Does that work?
That work?
What was that movie where the guy always said she was that office space? I have a mistake. Yeah, my paper.
And you worked there for 10 years. All to order. You will be in Missouri Special Council meeting and committee work study session. Councilman Bell, would you lead us with the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City clerk, we can get a roll call, please.
Councilman Sutter? Councilman Price?
Here.
Councilman Bell?
Here.
Councilman Jordan?
Here.
Councilwoman Sherman? Here. Councilman Keller?
Here.
Councilman Scott?
Council, you have an agenda in front of you. Are there any additions or revisions needed in the agenda? Hearing none, on the second page under advertise for bids, I'd like to add street repavement project for 2023. I'd like to add that, entertain a motion to add to the agenda.
I'll second.
Got a first and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Council, first item I have under myself, wanting to show the payroll schedule. Brought this to the last council meeting. However, after being inputted into our accounting system, some of the numbers were not clicking, so the chief of police number and also a couple of hourly part-time rates were adjusted. So I want to give the council an opportunity to review this and actually entertain a motion to accept the revised adjustment. If there's any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. The big thing is what I told you last time on the police chief. The The increase of 5,000 is what was stated, but the numbers on the chart reflected what the current salary was. So this actually shows what the adjusted salary would be. And a couple of other ones were part-time employees in the grounds department needed to correct the hourly rate versus what was previously stated.
I'll second.
We have the first and the second, any discussion? And hearing none, all those in favor say yes.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is administrative offices update, just to let the public and the council be aware that the office space where the city administrator and where the city clerk used to sit has now been remodeled, painted, and you have an opportunity to go up there and take a look at that and review it. My wife and myself and Mariah, we contributed our funds and our labor to make this happen. So the only items that the city had incurred as far as the cost is a new door that will be placed between the city administrator's office and the new city clerk's office, and a handful of general small tools that we should have at City Hall at all times in small box. So those are the only two costs that the city has incurred. Approximately between the two, you're looking at about $500. The door was $360 because it's a solid core fire rated door. The rest of the building, all the doors are upstairs are fire rated.
So how do we get in your office now?
Same one.
So you're gonna walk through all of the offices, or you're gonna have a door that goes directly to the door?
So nothing's changed in my office. So the door that goes into that conference room,
That's what I'm
that'd
asking.
be, yeah, then we get right in there. Or you can, like I was jokingly telling everyone else, the city administrator and city clerk now officially has two ways out of their office. I'm still stuck with one way, unless I climb through a window, so. But anyway,
You don't need to work in the conference room
I know that's. The council, I do have a recommendation that I'd like to appoint Cassie Cordes to Ward 2 council member. If anyone has any questions of Mrs. Cordes, I invite her up to the podium if anyone has any questions. Any questions? Okay.
What made you decide to take this position on?
Fact that I'd like to help to try and improve problems in the city. Don't have. If you just sit and gripe, you're not helping.
Will you be working for the city or will you be working for the constituents of the board?
I think I'll probably be working for both. Trying to be a liaison, I think is the word, between the two. Try to get to the best possible outcome to any sort of problems that there may be.
Welcome aboard.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion to,
what's gonna be some of your focuses on Georgia Street? Because that's gonna be your district, too, the south side of Georgia,
My focus is on Georgia Street.
as some of the business owners and stuff like that.
I think I need to talk to the business owners and find out what needs to be concentrated on.
Sounds good, we're there all week.
entertain a motion to approve the appointment.
I make the motion.
A second.
We have a first and a second. Councilman Gordon made the first and Councilman Price seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all take a roll call, please.
Councilman Sutter,
Yes.
Councilman Price,
Yes.
Councilman Bell,
Yes.
Councilman Jordan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman,
Yes.
Councilman Keller.
Yes.
Councilman Gott.
Yes.
City clerk, will you swear in you Ward 2?
Right here, son. Right here. I, Kathy Cordes,
I, Cassandra Fortis,
do solemnly swear that I possess
do solemnly swear that I possess
all the qualifications for the office
all the qualifications for the office
of city council
of city council
as prescribed by law,
as prescribed by law,
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Missouri,
and the state of Missouri,
the provisions of all laws
the provisions of all laws
of this state
of this state
affecting cities of this class,
affecting cities of this class,
and the ordinances of the city
and the ordinances of the city
of Louisiana,
of Louisiana,
and faithfully demean
and faithfully demean
myself in office,
myself in office,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Now, seats right over here. City council, if you get in your packet, and just grab this sheet. Our pretty new logo. So the last logo update was done approximately in 2015, 2016. Mayor Hartner at the time. In it for the long haul logo. I'm requesting consideration of adopting this logo for the city of Louisiana.
Who created the logo?
Woodrow Holston. Any questions about it? If not, I would entertain the motion to approve adoption.
I'll second.
Have a first and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes.
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 Opposed, like sign. The motion carries. At this time, I will turn over to the city administrator. Brian Spencer, this is his first meeting with us, so.
So everybody has in their packet a wordage of the social media policy that has been presented for adoption or at least review. It is a draft copy. In my previous service to other communities, Valley, Wright City, and Winsville, they all have boards of aldermen and are a fourth-class city. Louisiana is a third-class city and has a council and council members. So I need to change that in this policy. So as you go through this, if you have any questions, noting the fact that I can make changes to this as far as anything that you feel pertinent as far as social media policy, any person representing the city of.
So council, this, looking through this, it seems to cover all of our needs. This would impact all city employees, volunteers, and elected officials. So the goal of this is to have guidelines when dealing with social media. As it pertains to the city, if you are representing the city in any capacity, the goal is to reflect posting, whatever it may be. So we would like for people to refrain from the negativity, but just post what is accurate and allow to put the city's best foot forward.
So what you're saying is somebody is online, just bad mouthing and the council person down or the city down. Basically, we add council members, you get smile. You go on.
Yeah, I mean, you can respond, I would say, I mean, that's your right, but you gotta respond with accuracy and without negativity to a degree. I mean, it's gonna be interpreted by this council when reading these guidelines. So as you read through these guidelines, it kind of gives us, straightforward, measures, to deal with such items like that. Whereas before we had no guideline to deal with.
I think it reflects that all members of the city of Louisiana, whatever capacity you are representing the city, should be factual and leave the opinions and bias and emotions out of our post. We should be able to put the city in the high ground as far as making it look as good as possible and present factual stuff and let the people, they can make their own decisions based upon the facts. But if someone is attacking you, that should be not allowed. It's not allowed for someone to threaten you. I mean, those things are already in place.
Right.
It's the work study, right?
Mr. Sherman, yes.
Mike Sherman, 11 North 8th. Great to see you, Brian.
Thank you.
So when it comes to emotion, whether it be in a text, an email, or on Facebook, that has to be interpreted. There is no emotion unless you use an emotion word. Anger, hate, those are emotions, right? Otherwise, there is no emotion attached. People have to interpret what's written. Unless there is an emotion, anger, hate, sadness, then that emotion has to be interpreted in what was written, correct?
Correct. So anytime you put something in writing, you leave it up to the reader to interpret the emotion behind that. But as far as when something is put forth through the city or someone representing the city, it should be stated in a way that takes as much emotion out of it. It should be just very factual.
Absolutely. I just wanted to make sure we were on the same page.
It should be, yes.
Without infringing on the First Amendment.
So no emojis, right, Mike?
No emotion.
Okay, all right.
I read through the policy and honestly, I was a little concerned because I block. It's nothing to do with the city, but I blog and it's opinion-oriented blog. And is this policy because I'm now the economic director and sit on the planning and zoning commission, I'm no longer allowed to give factual critical analysis? Is that what this
Factual
policy,
critical analysis is one
and offer my opinion based on fact?
It depends on if it breaks one of the codes. I mean, are you being libelous? Are you?
No, I'm not saying any of
Personal
that. I'm very careful about what I write, but I also feel like as long as I'm not representing myself as a member of the city staff or whatever you want to call it, that I should be able to write what I want, as long as it's not libelous, as long as it's not a personal attack on somebody.
But there's
Whatever.
9 things listed here. I mean, it's not pornographic, racist, hate-oriented comments, personal attacks, insults, threatening language, plagiarized material,
Oh, I-
private personal information. I mean, these things that you should not be able to.
I would never do that, okay? But what I'm saying is if, let's say I write something, I just wrote an article before I accepted these positions on Louisiana and some of the struggles of Louisiana and other small towns. Okay? My major concern is you pull that up and say, well, this is being negative for being libelous or whatever, and you come down on me because I state what I see. And I state things that I've learned in terms of talking to people. I mean, to me, that's basically, when I read that policy, that's basically saying I can't write.
Well, you mentioned being libelous, libel is already a crime that you could be sued for.
But I'm not being libelous, I'm
That's the words
just,
that
but I'm-
we use.
but if I make a statement saying, for instance, that such and such bill passed without any discussion or dissent, okay? Is that considered a negative statement? Who decides what's negative and what isn't?
That sounds like a factual statement.
Okay, but who decides what's negative and isn't negative?
And that would be your elected officials.
Wow.
Wow.
No.
We're gonna have a problem.
Maybe what were you saying about First Amendment?
You're treading real close to that First Amendment.
So this is
We're gonna have a problem.
so this language is not something that I just came up with. It was based upon research. Many other cities have adopted the same language. And it has already been a tried true situation in different cities.
So for,
It's also endorsed by the MML program.
well, just to address, I understand First Amendment rights.
Sorry, guys.
And there's no issue with First Amendment rights to specifically this policy addresses. I know Brian just went through it. Potentially libelous comments I've seen from racist comments, hate-oriented comments, personal attacks, insults, threatening language, plagiarized material, private personal information published without consent. Comments totally unrelated to the topic of the forum, commercial, promotions, or spam, hyperlinks to material that is not directly related to the discussion. The big point is, your First Amendment right, you can talk about any of that you want under material. But if you are doing it under the skies of being a representative of the city of Louisiana, you do not have it. And if one of these things is brought up and brought to the council, it'll be up to this council to interpret these things that it in fact pertains to not representing the city of Canada, or excuse me, the city of Louisiana.
Yeah, in my writing, I'm very careful not to step over those bounds.
Yeah.
But if I offer a critique of the city government, let's say, is that being negative? If it's based on fact?
So now here's one of the things I'm gonna try to stop right now. We can what if a lot and give up scenarios that can be challenged. But none of that's gonna be fruitful unless the issue comes before this board. We got, right now, if something's coming before this board or for this council, there's nothing in place for us to utilize as a guideline at all. Now, we could research MML in other cities and everything else and legal stuff, which is what Brian has done with his policy. This isn't something that, he handcrafted himself. This is something that's been approved and adopted at state through the MML, give recognition to the cities that he listed with that.
So
So
why don't we get cities that do this? I want to see it in black and white, plain and simple.
I have those in my office.
Because I will not vote on it, because you can't do that.
So what you had is in black and white in front of you from those cities.
But you keep saying city, we don't have any information on cities. I'd like to talk to these cities and see what kind of information they got coming. If it's a bad thing or if it's a good thing.
Right.
This is a discussion. This
Right.
is not changing anything tonight. We're just discussing.
And I can present those to you.
Okay.
And please don't take it that I'm trying to be difficult. I'm trying to get clarification. Because I have subscribers and things that read my stuff. And if if my stuff is gonna be held out there to some sort of criticism because I volunteered to be the economic development director, I'm gonna have to make a decision.
So my servitude in the past and history is I worked for Winsville, Rice City, Numelli, and Innsbruck. 3 of those communities use this exact same language.
And that's fine, okay? But I guess I'm asking from the perspective of, is that going to preclude me from being able to write to my subscribers, my newsletter, my blog that I have for my consulting firm, where I comment on municipal issues and sometimes bring the city in as an example of what's, of issues that small towns deal with? Is that gonna preclude you from doing that?
So if you have the hat on as economic,
I never identify myself as that.
well, then you shouldn't have an issue. I mean, if you have your hat on as being on planning and zoning or being the eco devo person, if you have that hat on, then you may.
I don't
be
do that
in
when
the
I
gray
write.
area.
Okay. I don't do that when I write.
But I will tell you that this policy in Winsville has been challenged several times and it's gone to the court and it's held up.
Oh, we're 3,000 people, tight knitted, and that's not,
Well,
we're not Winsville.
I would also say, if we all can think back on some posts we just read from an individual about the negativism of our mayor and other things that that individual had to say on Facebook, that was really bad. I think they all know she's no longer with us. That I can see why we might need
I agree.
something like this, because that, yeah, we need some, but they can have a policy.
That's one thing, but to say you can't have an opinion because you work for.
Yes, I don't think that's what that
That
does.
doesn't work.
We never did have one of these, right? This is the first one, and I think we do need some sort of something
I do too.
because of that particular individual and all the things that were said on there about certain people.
And it does.
But, and I've always voiced my opinion on the dog pound, and that I thought I was pretty professional. What do you think, Casey? Okay.
Am I missing
Because
some
I have
pages
a
or
little
something?
too. What?
Front and back.
Well, I just want to make sure, because I don't see anywhere in here it says you can't have an opinion.
That's what I was gonna say.
Exactly.
Like, I don't,
There's nothing
that's
in there
what
that
my,
says you can't have. an
I don't
opinion.
know
I
where
think
that,
they're just trying to tell you to be straight up for word, don't tell lies, have your facts straight before you say it, and things like that.
And it's only gonna be for the city employee and council members, correct? It's not gonna be for the.
If you represent the city as a volunteer, as an employee, or as an elected official, it will apply.
Yeah, and I don't think what your blog, I don't think you have to worry about it. Because you're using
Well, I
factual
wouldn't
examples,
worry about it.
factual
because-
examples is what you're using.
Because I'll make the decision.
Keep this, and we'll address it with any revisions suggested for this. Right now, I know that you requested, cities, I know, Brian just mentioned the cities. I guess we'll put that in writing and get that to you, Councilman. Got.
can everybody
I've
get
been
that?
here for 24 years. If you can't take criticism,
So I'll make it.
you gotta listen to everybody.
I don't think
Plus,
this deal about
Plus you say city employees. How do you know which one is city employee behind a uniform? The people that work for me have a uniform. They have my uniform on. They represent me. We don't have any uniforms out there with the city. We don't even know who they are. They need to, if they're gonna work for the city, they need to have a uniform, so we know who they are.
Yeah, so we'll go table this and bring it up, at our next regular, this is social media policy, not a uniform, but we'll address that.
Can the citizens have a copy of that?
So go ahead and read through this word for word. If you'd like to make some changes, if you'd like some more information, I have down that you would like to see the other city's policy, and I'll be glad to present that to you. And I will have that available to you. When do you want it by? When do you want it by?
Oh, anytime, fine.
I get it.
There is no hurry because this is just a discussion.
Correct, and this is just a draft.
Yeah.
So you're welcome to mark it up how you see fit.
Sure.
I can have that to you by the end of this, after the meeting over.
Well, that's fine.
I'll send it to them, but I like if he wants to bring it to them and I can pass it. Because we're sitting right down here.
go on for them with this discussion. Committee reorganization, it's a sheet that looks like this. I would like to see, when I was presented a committee list, I saw basically a committee full of council people. And I would like to see more constituent buy-in to our different programs. So I broke them down into, or reorganized them into public safety, fire, police, and public health. Community outreach, which includes tourism, senior services, historical preservation, and tree commission. The enterprise, planning and zoning, which includes economic development, housing, and any type of permit. I would add a field process to code enforcement. We have grounds, which deals with streets and park transportation, the board of adjustment, and we already have an established library committee. On the next page, on the very last page, is a sample application that I would, as soon as this is approved or not approved or changed, I'd like to put this out for citizens to participate in these boards. They should elect a chair, vice chair. Would like to see at least 3 to 7 members on each committee. I would like to see the mayor each year after the meeting, after the swearing in of the new board. The mayor would appoint 1 council member instead of 4 to each of these committees. And then also appoint an alternate in case that council person cannot be in attendance at that meeting. I'd like for them to have a set date on the calendar that they will meet every month. Council person is basically there to listen, to inform, to advise. And then they carry the voice of that committee back to the council and release that information. The rest of it's pretty well listed. Are there any questions or discussions on this? Yes.
So as well as having our 2 council meetings every month, for the committees that we are on, we will be setting them on special dated meetings for them as well. Is that what you're stating in there?
So basically, I would like 1 council person to be on each of the committee, and then let's say you're the council person assigned to community outreach.
Right.
And there'll be an alternate.
Right, but my question was, sir, you're adding another meeting that we need to be attending every month.
From what I understand from the list that I saw, you are probably listed on, because there was 4 councilmen on 7 different committees. So from what I saw, that would take you away from at least 5 of those committees down to just 1.
Reorganizing, probably taking all that away.
So instead of you being on 5 committees, that you could potentially have 5 committee meetings plus your council meeting and specials and work sessions. It would take you from 5 of those down to 1. So possibly could reduce the workload that you have if you split it up between 8 council people instead of being on 5 different committees with 3 other council members.
Now, what if you want to be on more than 1, but not necessarily the liaison? You just want to be a citizen on one of these groups. Can I, as a citizen, be appointed to one of these groups?
I guess technically you can, but personally I would like, you're already a voting member of the council, and so you get the final say. I personally would like to have more regular constituents that are not elected officials to express their voice.
I understand that, but some of us are good at doing what we do.
Well, I'm sure you
It's
are.
kind of me with working with the public and everybody, and I don't want to be restricted to one committee.
Well, that's fine, you can have as many as.
I don't
the
care if I
mayor
have
will
a
give you.
vote on it or not. I would like to be a member of more than 1.
That's between you and the mayor, because that's the person who appoints the committees.
Okay.
But in all purpose of the reorganization of this, is to get as many of our citizens, to get as many voices of our
And
community.
I understand that too, but I don't think you're gonna get what you want from this with these applications, but that's for a different time, so.
So,
And then if you volunteer.
Council, if you want to go ahead. What I'd like to do on this is to. So as far as this, you know, you can see in the council agenda, the council reports. You can see our current list, what we have. What I would like to entertain going ahead and doing is actually submitting applications for the constituents in the city to put down whichever committee they would like to be a part of. Right? And submit the application and what committees they would like to do. And I do know you have the application in here.
Yes,
The application is in here. And release that and see what kind of feedback that we get. The library,
we've already taken care of it.
it's library, board of adjustments and planning and zoning is pretty much, they're already covered. We do have room for planning and zoning and possibly for board of adjustments, but there's no set, I mean, the numbers that we can take on in those committees are large, so we can take on quite a few. We got some open spots. The library board is pretty much full.
What about the people that's been
do-
trying to get on committees?
That's what we're talking about right now. So anyway, we'd send out applications and turn them back in and see if we can add some citizens to our committee.
If nothing else, if we have too many, we can keep those applications, and if it's five, we can help with involvement.
Right. So basically, council, you kind of see what it's suggesting, trying to streamline and bring all the committees more into an organized fashion. I'll ask the committee, or excuse me, the council's approval to go ahead and advertise for applications using the applications that we have. And then we can kind of go through and pick through if we want to add some citizens to our committees. I do know, I personally, I'd like to see our police committee intact and also add 2, maybe 3 citizens to that. And same thing with some of these other committees, if anyone's willing to serve. I think if we send out applications, stuff, it'll give us a good gauge of who wants to go where, and then we can move forward on that.
You want a motion to send out the applications?
Yes, I'll entertain a motion to. First
I'll do that.
and second, any discussion on the motion to go ahead and publicize the application process for committees?
The only question I have is about it is, I know we do have some citizens that have wanted to be on committees, but what if we don't get enough citizen involvement to cover all the committees? Then are we gonna stay
So,
on those?
So right now, the committees are exactly what they are right now, no change. We're gonna try and bring citizens on first before we start dissecting council members off. You know what I'm saying? So if we got a large citizen population that wants to be part of the community outreach, well, then we can step back and have one council person on that. So let's just kind of play it by ear. It's my intention of sending out the application to see what kind of feedback that we get. But we do want to open it up, and it's part of that transparency and part of that citizen involvement in our committees. You know, all committees, there's no rule making powers, there's no, it's all recommendations.
I would think with the house that I'm trying to purchase, I did talk to my potential neighbor who served on a committee 25 years ago. And he said, yeah, if they would like for me to serve on a committee, I'd be happy to do so. I would think this would be a great tool that the councilman could use in communicating with their constituents say, hey, you know, we have these committees, why don't you go ahead and apply for this? I'll get you an application. And maybe that could be a tool that you can use to encourage the public to become more involved in their government, because a good government involves active good people.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? All those in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
The next thing on the list underneath my category is municipal real estate properties. One of the things you asked me during my interview process is what am I going to do during the first 90 days? And my answer to you was to get to know the people who currently work and some of their issues. But one of the things that was brought to my attention is we have a lot of properties that we are taking care of. Some of them are properties that the citizens of Louisiana can use as a whole. And then some of them are just extra properties that are questionable whether or not the city as a whole can use them, and then possibly should we release them. This was brought to me through your employees. And so what I've done is I asked for all the properties that the city currently owns and provided you digitally a copy, I believe, for the city clerk's office.
Yes.
So she sent them out, and that way you can look at all the properties and review and discuss, is this a piece of property that is important to the general public, or is this a property that we should consider releasing for possible new house, new retail, whatever that could possibly bring in more tax dollars for our community.
Who's in charge of housing, by the way? Who is in charge of housing committee?
I'm one of them, but I didn't get one.
Nancy Evans was on it, but
So council, as far as with this information that's in front of you, we do have one business owner in Wood on 406 Georgia Street. This was brought up a couple months ago, maybe 3 months ago, with Kelly Henderson addressing the council. The property between his building and your building in Town Branch, that's behind the wire, the fence right there on Georgia Street. So he expressed an interest in obtaining that property. So, and I apologize, you don't have your paperwork right down here. If you would like to address the council on the proposal that you had.
Yeah, we're Trey Merlin. Franken Ruby is our company that we're currently working in. We are eventually wanting to be a sandwich shop to be in to service. We own that building outright. That is the 5-year plan right now. We're going to be a small retail space. We'd also like to take over that green area for later sandwich shop, also events. We have some artists that we'd like to move through and stuff like that to be able to carry on that. Also, do not kind of put everything on Front Street, depending on whatever the event is, to give some exclusivity to the group or whoever we bring in. Granted, it would be full disclosure and marketed things properly like any of the other businesses. But as far as that goes, we're just trying to have it in another green space. We're going to work really hard with more native stuff there too. So we're also trying to look at find those grants to have y'all at inner city space that supports the native habitat stuff and everything like that, because we can't showcase that with that also being the only access to the Town Branch, showing that off in the ways and cleaning that up and showing that off for that historic nature that all is and that represents for the town and one of the oldest towns. So yeah, we're trying to try to keep that moving on, because there is old infrastructure there that is still nice and can be utilized for the outdoor seating areas and stuff like that. Our big wish is to do like daddy-daughter tea parties and stuff like that. That's kind of like bringing that kind of tone and tenor to those areas during the spring and summer seasons, and then we're hoping to have our street finished up soon. That was a bigger issue than we thought. We've worked with the city, knowing now where that infrastructure lies, coming off that building. Again, that sewer system hasn't been touched in a million years. We're all getting that sorted out. We're gonna get excited to open here in the next couple of months. We're excited to keep working with the bait shop, which they're excited to be open and they're running full steam with all live baits, and we're starting to work together. We're printing shirts right now currently. So if you put screen printing, up to wait for TNT, who is another business on Main Street that just opened that is doing custom shirts as well. Yeah, that's about it. But yeah, that's the main part of it, which we'd like to take over that green space. Put other space that y'all guys don't have to get in there and try to mow and tear up everything. We'd also like to try to maybe exhibit some of those older Missouri things, bring in some of that butterfly, have that. That's where people have been pitching the DQ wrappers in the creek and being kind of watched and taken care of and stuff like that. So it's more of that kind of thing. If we could take over that, that'd be great. We'd be happy to take over.
So while I got you here, I'll go up there and probably put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Put you on the spot. So would you be agreeable with a lease agreement? Whatever, let's say a 50-year lease agreement for $10.
If I knew what that actually meant, like in a legal, I don't want to say yes or no in that sense, because I don't know what that entails, to be completely honest. Yes, we're open to a conversation about a financial settlement on whatever that means. But
You may have to look into that because that's floodplain now. FEMA have to get on that because you cannot change anything on that.
and that's not the plan. And that's not the plan.
Well, I'm just letting you know.
Right.
Because where I was at one time, I wanted to put just a little retaining wall.
Right.
They wouldn't let me do it.
Right. Yeah, and we also have just infrastructure, city-wide stuff there, and I want to make sure that whatever we do, we can keep that accessible.
But that's a good idea. And that's,
Yeah, it just,
and that's one of the things I was talking about with you previously, because of the county and the infrastructure of the street going over and everything else.
Right.
We may have to. Some
Right.
making access, but-
there's, and also that building that, again, the bait shop is in, that has also been a building that has been for years leaning up against Piper's old building and stuff like that. Both of those walls have serious issues. They're eventually gonna have to get looked at, but I think right now, if we can keep the vegetation sitting where it needs to be, keep that area cleaned up and kind of manage the erosion that it is doing in these big rains that we're getting, as long as we're not pushing too much away from these buildings, I think we can save a lot of them, especially towards the laundry mat and stuff like that too. Because if anybody's taken, I know some of the city guys have taken a walk under that bridge. We've got some things that moved around there. I don't know if it's something you want to come look at some point, but yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. So council, I entertain a motion to draft a lease agreement and for the city attorney to take a look at it for the council review and for the public's review and bring that at our next council meeting.
I have a quick question on that. So hypothetically, we did lease that out to them. Who would be responsible for any activities on that property? The reason why I asked that is because there's that town branch, you have to have a fence there, so nobody falls.
That
on
would be
fence.
under our liabilities. And we
So,
would work with our insurance.
When
company
you
to
start
make sure
putting
that was
fences and
covered.
stuff up like that along that town branch, you're potentially putting money into the property that you're leasing.
Right, and that was kind of one of the other things we wanted to work with it being a more of a long plan, it was more of the infrastructure needs in there. There's gonna be a lot of work that's gonna have to happen between us, but the town branch and infrastructure.
Okay, I'm just looking out for you.
No, understood, and yeah, it would be completely on our liability, and that would be, especially if we did do those would be things we would want to work with. Even if we did do an event, because that still would be accessed through the city, we would want to make sure that we're still.
That- We want to clarify, you're talking about the little building next to our little square pocket thing.
Yeah, we don't want the square, we
You want
want
the
the,
high end.
right.
Got it, so
Yeah, we're our stipends, yeah.
So I entertain the motion to draft a lease agreement. First and second, any discussion? All those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, like sign.
And that will be put on the next agenda.
Yeah,
for
we ought to-
project.
And we'll have it out definitely a week ahead of time.
I'll come see Brian at some point.
The council, as far as the rest of these properties, and I know you got this digital packet last Friday. I challenged the council to take a look at some of these properties and provide Brian with a list of the top 5 properties that the city owns that you would be agreeable that we need to move. We need, let's move on it.
Just top 5 or any.
Well, any of it, I mean, whatever, if you got 10 to recommend, put in your priority list. And
And obviously, we're not gonna get rid of City Hall or cemetery, but all city property.
we'll get you here. Yeah, Cassie hasn't gotten that. So that's a challenge I'm asking the council to do, is to review the properties. And some of these properties, there's no reason for the city to maintain and keep. And that's one of the things that we'll verify with our employees and our department heads to verify. Make sure we don't have any right-of-way issues that we need to maintain, but as soon as we can.
We pulled it out of general agreements because that property is there. Bob Jenny made an agreement with them that we would maintain that forever.
Which,
It's behind Dollar General.
oh yeah, the ditch, yeah.
That it goes like
Yeah.
an L behind.
Yeah,
it.
so anything that's associated with the agreements and stuff.
We make sure we're speaking up.
People hate here.
Louder. So, okay. We'll do that. Please bring that back to Brian through email or in person.
And that will go on the next agenda.
Yes.
The next thing on the list is liquidating some equipment property. Based upon the communications that I've had with the different departments. The first thing that was listed by Grounds was a flatbed truck. It's up there in age. The specs are,
Didn't get a whole lot of specs on some
okay,
of
so the
these.
specs are pending, but I do know that every time they use it, it's gonna take them a couple of containers of brake fluid. The brakes seem to be bad. They would personally, and I know this is a little ahead of time, but they would personally like a replacement truck for that with a hoist. They also have a transportation bus that is not being utilized that could possibly be looked at for sale. They have the police have a minivan that is a possible sale item. We have a tandem axle dump truck that the street department says that they don't need. We have a John Deere tractor for the street department, and then it was presented to us with 2 mowers from the grounds department that could be liquidated. I do have grounds department head with me, and then we do have some specs, don't we?
Not a whole lot.
So I'll bring up some further information if you don't mind. Ryan. So the flatbed pickup truck, it's really on its last leg. The bed of the truck and hoist has been utilized on various bodies. The trucks wear out and we just take the hoist and the flatbed and transfer it over. And it's not recommended to do that again. It's on its last leg. The tandem axle dump truck is too big for city use. I mean, if we're hauling big loads,
The red one.
the big GMC tandem axle, for a city of our size.
Then I have a plow with it too.
I believe it does.
The brand new one, I remember correctly.
And it's never been utilized for that, as far as I know. So, the truck's too big to be used in our town, going up and down hills and around streets. Where a single axle dump truck is preferred by the street department guys. Transport bus, as far as we bought that originally for prisoners, to haul them back and forth from the prison. The minivan was acquired by a couple of police chiefs ago,
What do you want for that? We're going to just taking all these items, we're looking to go out for bids. Just go ahead and advertise, one advertising, list, everything, and then see if bids. And that would be the John Deere tractor, just so the public knows, the John Deere tractor is what our new one replaced because the PTO clutch has went out of the old John Deere tractor. So it's really, without putting a lot of money into it, it's going to be a lot of cost for it. So it's more of a parts tractor than a running, usable tractor, right? And we've had that since the mid-80s. It's got, last I heard, about 4,000 hours on it. So I entertain a motion to allow these items to go out for bids.
I'll second.
First and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. The department heads have identified a few things that they would like to have. The first one, the street department would like, and the distribution section would like to have a sweeper vacuum combination vehicle or piece of equipment. Of course, the Browns would like to replace the flatbed pickup hoist, and the ones that were identified late today after the agenda was is a modem system for the body cameras for the police department. And the police department, there were some officers that would like to have the handheld ticket writer program, which I found out about it probably about this afternoon and haven't even started looking at it. Didn't know there was such a thing for today. But that's what that's on their wish list, their immediate wish list. So if you have any connections or any knowledge on information, I'd be happy to bring that information forward. Any questions on equipment wanted?
Yeah, I'd like. Yeah, so the prior soup said that equipment to flush out the sewer lines is also on its last leg. I don't see that on the list. Yet.
So I'll address that. We talked about that this afternoon. So the wording in this is not accurate. It's a back truck with a jetter.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that would liquidate two other pieces of equipment also.
Yeah. Excuse me?
That would liquidate two other pieces of equipment also. That would eliminate the street sweeper and the jetter that we currently have.
Actually, correction on that. It wouldn't mean it wouldn't. A back truck with a jetter would be just that, a back truck and a jetter. It wouldn't be a sweeper. And the update that we got today with our sweeper, it's up and running and it's been utilized. But the need for the back truck with the jetter is kind of a priority. And the biggest challenge for our city is if we was to buy a brand new one, we'd have to really get a long lease on that. It's like buying a brand new fire truck if we was to buy one. So they're pretty pricey, but we are looking and shopping and trying to see what options are out there for that.
We'll have some funds from liquidating our other vehicles that might help.
Yeah.
So a back truck, you probably seen down in a bigger city. It's a big tank. It's got a big hose on the back of it to where they can go and suck out storm drains or sewer drains. They'll rocks up to this big. They'll bring it up out of the hole. So any manholes that are backed up, usually they'll run the jetter down the manholes and push water pressure through that. Of course, the back truck can suck all that out and put it in the back of the truck too. Take it down to the.
So it's to clean the storm system.
Yeah.
The other thing it's utilized for that a lot of the cities use, including Ameren, is when they're locating gas mains, things like that. They actually use water and vacuum to dig a hole. They don't use equipment because the water won't damage their lines and the vacuum will just suck the mud up and next thing you know, you got all your lines exposed. So it will speed the process up a lot.
So just for an example, I know within the next week or two, we're gonna be digging up here on Sixth Street. And we're gonna ask Bowling Green to borrow their back truck to get that accomplished. So because there's some 300 pair telephone cables that we're digging around, we don't want to trust in the hose.
Okay, I understand now what it is you want to choose for.
Hey, Tim, is it possible with some of this equipment that we're gonna put bids out for? Because like in the police department, what we did in the past, when April was chief, where we had the F-150 pickup, we did a trade-in on it somewhere, and we got a whole lot more out of it towards a new police car versus the small bids that, you know, when people buy these things from us, they get them for little or nothing. Some of these places will take those things on a trade-in and give you more money than what you're gonna receive. Just put it out for bid.
We can definitely look at that. I know we looked at that when we was looking at the tractor, when we got a new tractor.
Yeah, I
See
mean,
what we can do.
so we can get the most bang for our buck with the stuff that's out there.
The next item on the list is payroll. Last week was my first week, and what I saw happening was 3 people in a complete panic to get the time cards done by Thursday so people can be paid on Friday. Currently, we are on a weekly system where you get paid the exact same week you work. And I've never seen such turnaround as that. I've never heard of a business that has such turnaround. Because normally, any other type of job that you work at, you start working there and you get your paycheck in 2 weeks. So I think when there's such haste to get that paycheck out, that there's a potential there to be having a situation where lots of mistakes are made. And I would like to have some breathing room for the staff to get the payrolls out, so they're not trying to do entire week's payroll in 5 hours or less. And that's currently what happened. So I present to you, first of all, I would like to have a whole week, because normally you don't get paid the very same week that you work. But there are 2 pay schedules that have been presented to you. A bi-weekly, which is basically you're getting paid every other Friday, and then a bi-monthly where you get paid 2 times a month. I know as a teacher in the Francis Howell School District, I got paid on the 10th and 25th. In Nassau County, when I was being paid there, I got paid on the 15th and the last day of the month. And at Liberty Christian Academy where I taught, it was every other week. And I think if we did do something of this matter, I think that it would be important for the employees to be mindful of the pay that they're getting so they can prepare for it. I would like to start something like this around October 1st so they can prepare for it.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things out there. we can do it.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
we have some of our city employees that have been here for a few years and they're used to being paid this way. And so I just want to understand this correctly. You want a weekly paycheck held back. Well, these employees have never had that. So in order for them to get paid every 2 weeks, you're gonna have to hold a paycheck on them, then get another paycheck, so they're only gonna get paid at the end of the bi-weekly for one of those 2 weeks pay, because you're holding one.
Right.
Correct. So if I'm working this week, I know I'm not getting paid for this week until the schedule.
Brian, I'm just gonna tell you like that, there's not many perks to work here. And that happens to be getting paid once a week is one of those perks. That's one of the things that drew me back to coming here. Because I never liked the every 2 week thing, and a lot of people don't, because,
They will paycheck to paycheck.
yeah, it's paycheck to paycheck, and having it weekly has worked here, like, I get it's maybe a lot of pressure on them or whatever, so. But I
sure
think
this
it could
council
be,
would not appreciate mistakes being made, and I know that, I don't know. I believe that there was a mistake made on someone's check that has to be justified with the next pay period.
and that has happened in the past, but mistakes happen.
Mistakes are made. I worked
Mistakes
in
happen.
offices and There's multiple times I had to get my paychecks corrected and we clocked in and out.
Yeah, I mean, we've all we're used to mistakes being made, and then they just make it up to us. But it's different than switching a whole process.
2 weeks, they were having wait until they got the next check, is that correct? Like 2 weeks and so many days or
Until they
something?
don't get a fucking check, but when you
Yeah.
get the police department involved.
So you had your hand up.
Yeah, I've gone through this process before where we've gone where a company is grown and we've gone, hey, this is one week. And so what we've done in previously, you don't know if we did it on purpose, but usually we set out the date. They do a hold graph. Basically, we continued the pay structure or the paying structure where we started paying into a fund. So starting at that date, we paid we got $5 less. That was going to the hold check that would do that back and forth. At the end of that, if you stay with those, yada, yada. It's maddening and it's hard for anybody to get to that structure because I watched an entire warehouse of 300 people go from not getting paid 1 week or getting paid every 1 week, once every week, and then whatever. It's disaster and like people want to burn the place down. So we did it in a way where we did a rolling bank until we got to that, so that fight wasn't as hard. And then we gave them another folding check that it still got the pay structure on the right point, where now they are getting both checks in that one pay, but now they didn't miss that gap without getting their double check.
So with this, let me hold on just a second. With this, I believe employees want their checks every week. However, I know that I am in favor of holding back a week's check to get online, so at least we have 7 days or 5 working days to get the payroll in order. So the question is, well, how do you get that paycheck, right? So a thought process that's been talked about before, but it's never come to council, is that whatever your average check is, a 40-hour-a-week average check, the city would, on that whole week, give you a check for 40 hours. Right? And then over the next 6 to 8 weeks, now you might consider it a loan or whatever you want to do. We've done it, similar things in the past, but it would have to be with this council approval, is that over the next 6 to 8 weeks, whatever that dollar amount is, in equal payments, 8 equal payments, you'd be paying it back out of your next check. Because you got so you would not be losing any money. You'd be gaining, you're not gonna be losing anything.
Okay, because I've got people on here, like, this is not. Why not do that for your employees that might be new, but the ones that have put in 20 years or whichever, because there's 3 city employees sitting right there. And they all depend on this. They have mortgages, they have bills.
So
They're not making them.
I understand your question. I'm really interested in the council's opinions too. Because what I just proposed does not take anyone, doesn't take away money from anyone's weekly check.
How are you gonna do that?
Except for that 8, that 8, I just stated.
That's on the 4th week, that's their overtime, that's no.
So what they're getting is 40 hours on an average, right? And we know, I can explain it and break it down. So basically, if the city writes you a check for $400, we go whole, right? And you pay that, we're giving you $400 extra. You're gonna get an extra check. You're gonna get your regular check, and you're gonna get an extra.
That you
check
gotta pay back.
Yeah, over 8 weeks, and that would be roughly, what would that be, about $50 a paycheck, that you'd have to pay it back over the next 8 weeks.
I'm not
Is
opposed.
there consideration to just change the pay date to like Tuesday? That would give you all of that,
That's what I was.
when they hand in all of their hours on Friday, you've got Monday and Tuesday to compile your payroll.
So the current pay is Thursday to Wednesday,
Oh,
and then you
sorry.
turn your time in on Wednesday and then you issue checks on Friday. So right now they're working with a Wednesday and basically a 2.5 to 2 day to get your check out the door into your bank.
We got 4 hours, it's a 4-hour turnaround.
Most of our timesheets come in mid-morning Thursday. I'm sometimes 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock Thursday morning. I'm trying to get payroll figured out to get this, then it has to go to the treasurer to figure out how much we need to release from the bank. And then he has to go to the bank, and then he has to come back and then release checks. All this has to be done before 2 o'clock on Thursday. It's a very, very short window. Yep,
Wyland?
I was told it was mandated by Wednesday morning, you gotta turn your time sheets in.
Yeah, so even if it came in at 8 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah,
we have to have it at the bank for the ACH for direct deposit by 2 o'clock. And,
on Thursday.
yeah, same day. Well, or you said Wednesday morning, the
Wednesday
Wednesday,
morning is when our workday ends.
yeah, so,
So that's when we're supposed to turn in our time sheets, Wednesday morning. That's when I turn ours in. Wednesday mornings.
it's the end of the workday Wednesday, I believe.
his guys work on a set schedule. They don't do overtime. So they have a set time at which they leave. They're not using the time clock, so theirs is a little different than our regular hourly who punch in and out.
So I can tell you by what you just said, there's a lot of information that wasn't communicated in the transition process. When I worked for the water department, 3 o'clock on Wednesday, that was the end of the day. And then that overtime from 3 after on Wednesday was on next week's payroll. They didn't relay that information. And that's nothing against you. I just now realized that that was another complication that we're dealing with. Why don't we they just slowly transition the payday back 2 days or whatever, I hate to take money away, and truthfully, I would not want to be paid every other week, every 2 weeks, once a month. No, I want my checks every week, like on Friday. That's just how I live. My wife's is every other week. I would want mine every week. It wouldn't work out, and I wouldn't want to put anybody else in that predicament. But I wonder if we could just slowly, instead of turning time in this week on Wednesday morning or Thursday morning, was turned in on Wednesday, because obviously if you turn it in on Tuesday, you're there Tuesday. So we could transition the pay from Thursday to Wednesday or Wednesday to however you want to do it. We just slowly work that day back. Payday will always be Friday, but we can move it back. Because if I'm there on Tuesday, then you're gonna know that, it'd be very awkward for that first week that everybody was like, oh, I'm gonna go home at noon, and you're gonna pay for 3 hours and I'm coming home at noon.
So you're suggesting kind of a combination of what the mayor suggested?
Yes,
and just move it
similar,
back
but
one
I hate
day
to
per
take-
week?
Yeah, I hate to take money away from people, because money, and when you're taking money away weekly from people, that puts, whether it's $10 or $50, $10 might be all somebody might have. So I hate to do that. And I hate to have them owe the city, because what if they, in the 8 weeks, they're like, oh, on week 4, I quit, and now we're out 40 hours or 20 hours of work.
Councilman Gordon?
I can understand the state of this. I can understand that it's also change and you don't like change. So with them going from once a week to twice a week, we've taken an adjustment. I get paid twice a month. 15 and that's paid a month. So once you are used to having your bills at a certain time and pay them at a certain time, you're gonna still have that. You just have to rearrange things a little bit. And you'll really be surprised that when you get paid twice a month, you know in your mind, hey, I'm not gonna get a paycheck until now. So I need to give myself an allowance, and that's what I live on for the week for myself is my allowance. And I don't just keep running that debit card time. So it would take some doing and some budgeting.
So is the city gonna cover, like, payments that come out automatically? What about those payments? If it happens to overdraw his account?
From my understanding.
But when you took the job with the Department of Corrections, it was known to me, to everybody, you're paid twice. Haven't been midway for careers.
No decisions have been made, we're all discussing.
Shut me up.
Well, I hope that everybody's missing it. Because you're not gonna be missing any money whatsoever. When the city gives you that $400 check, that's an extra check. And then you're gonna get your additional check that next week. And you just have to take $50 out of that. You've already got $400 extra over here in advance. So you're really not missing it. That's an extra check completely. So you're not missing any money.
It's the
To
same
get this,
amount.
to get this started. So it's like an advance.
Yes.
It's an
Yeah,
advance.
it's the same amount.
So
So if you change any of these dates, clearly I'm more obvious, please start to gavel down on me. They do, like you and Mariah talked about it today, it's already confusing enough. And that's what Corey actually has in his hand, was he needed his pay things, because every fourth week, the 3 law enforcement officers we have get an overtime check. They get 40, 40, 40, no matter if he's working 14-hour days already. Just like the other ones, Josh is doing
so
more
what's
than
the
that.
question?
So
Ask-
what
give me
about
the
your
question.
overtime week? Like, how are
It
you
won't,
guys?
it won't affect them. The week hold is gonna be on a regular week.
I still say you shouldn't do that too. You shouldn't shit on your employees that's been here for years. New
I
ones,
don't-
yes.
Run it.
Okay, I've had to get paid GM, everything's always been wrong there too, no matter how big the company is. But is there a way, so let's say we're gonna start this on September 1st. So the first week of September, you need it to be a waiting week, and I understand their problem. Can you switch that from a Monday to a Friday, so everybody in the city work week is Monday through Friday? Because you're gonna have that week in advance, so you're gonna have everything you need Friday night to be able to do payroll on Monday for the following week. Okay, so the figure is, if everybody makes $13 an hour, and you divide that by 8, it's gonna take $65 a week for them to pay it back. So I don't know if that, in 8 weeks, is $65 a week to pay that $13 an hour, 40-hour week wage. So what they're gonna do is that waiting week, they're gonna go ahead and give them that week. Then the following week, they're gonna get the same amount, but it's gonna be $65 less because they have to, over that 8 weeks period, they'll be paying back $65 every week. They won't be minus in the paycheck though, by doing it that way. The only other solution is just don't get paid for 1 week and hold that as a waiting week and then get paid. At least the way that they're talking about doing it, everybody will get a paycheck every week. And then for the next 8 weeks, you're gonna be $65 short. I don't know if that's clarifies anything.
Before we make any decision on this, can we? Because I feel like this is kind of impacting the employees directly. Can we
Make a
do
poll.
some kind of poll with the employees? I mean, I understand that we can't make this all about them, but it also is impacting. And I feel like I'd like to get some kind of answers, you know, at least ask them if it's something they can even do, if they like it, where they stand. I don't want to make a decision on this directly.
Will said,
Directly, I just don't feel comfortable doing it. If every employee comes back and says, I'm okay with it, or three quarters of them do, then we make that decision then, but without hearing what they say, I'd like to at least get their opinion.
The form of a motion.
I make a motion to get the employee's opinion on the pay, how we're gonna pay them. And see where they, what they want, what they would choose, what they would want. I guess I'd just say, I don't know how they word that for you.
So to survey the employees on a
Yes.
variety of different pay schedules.
Yes.
We have a first and a second. any discussion. So the thing is to look at all the different options.
Yeah.
I think the end goal is trying to spread out the last day of the pay period until, you know what I'm saying?
I'm all for making it easier on the people that are producing the checks and getting it to them, but I'm also want to make sure it's okay with everyone.
And I agree with you, because there's been some issues in the past with employees leaving and inadvertently getting paid, inadvertently getting paid. That's just been-
That should have been charged.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, like sign. Bill.
Well, the next thing deals with code enforcement. You have this administration as well as administrations in history have provided a variety of different codes that the code enforcement officer and the city is supposed to enforce. However, there's really no procedure on how to go about this. And so we have worked with people that I have connections with, and I've talked to the code enforcement officer. I've talked to the gentleman that is basically a transitional building inspector. And we are looking at a process for a property that has major concerns. They would have a check sheet that, did we provide that? Probably not provide that. A check sheet that they go through and they drive by and it's like, you have this problem, you have this problem, you have this problem. They would put that on the door of the residents. That is their first notice. Then the code enforcement officer would come back to the office and send them a letter. After 30 days, it would become a warning. Then it would become a ticket after 30 days. And then after 30 days, the property is condemned until it passes inspection. So that gives them potentially 90+ days to right the wrongs of the ordinances that the council now and in the past has presented as the law of the city. As far as grass and trash, we have the same system, but it's 3 to 5 days. 3 to 5 days, they will get something taped to the door. The code enforcement officer will present a letter that will be mailed to them. After 3 or 5 days, it would be a warning. And 3 to 5 days, it would be a ticket. And then with the grass and trash, we would send the grounds crew out to take care of the grass that's 8+ inches tall. And then we would bill them. If they did not pay it, then there would be a lien on their property.
I don't know. Corey was,
Any
Corey has that going earlier. So,
any questions, council?
What do you call trash? Is the trash? What can I get in trouble for?
So it's rubbish that's in our city ordinance. When you look at it. It's in there. But all of the things that are checked are listed in your city ordinances and defined.
And the 3 to 5 day notice, is that what we've always done? Because
No, there's nothing been done.
well, what they're supposed to have been doing, isn't 3 to 5 days kind of a quick resolution for grass and trash? I understand the grass, that Ridge Road, but we have a lot of handicapped in town, we have a lot of elderly and all kinds of people that if my mother was still alive, she would be getting a lien on hers because she would have been too old to have gotten to do these things that the city branch had put in her yard. I mean, I got 3 to 5, I have a little bit of, no, I have a lot of issues with that 3 to 5, that.
So
Yeah,
Just
I,
putting it forward, you can decide on whatever you want.
yeah,
So-
that's,
So historically, and Wiley's here, and he can probably attest to this too, on with grass and trash, I mean, it's typically been a 5-day process. And usually we get a hold of the property owner and say, hey, you got 5 days to get your property in order, it's above what's allowed or rubbish. And then, that's kind of like the first notice, it's kind of like a verbal, right?
yeah.
Then follow up after that with the written. And then after the written, give them so many days, now we're looking at 10 days. If that's not done, then issue a citation and.
Clean up the yard is not, you know, we had, there's a grant right now to help people clean up their yards. And we haven't even started, and possibly not even been able, we'll be able to get some of them done in that amount of time. I just think that time is awful quick unless there's somewhere they can go to get the help for the elderly and the handicapped and people that can't breathe. And
Well, what we typically do is when they can't do that, the city will go in and abate it by cutting the grass and cleaning it up.
that doesn't help them.
Yeah, that just makes the
Then-
situation worse, especially on
then-
handicap.
Then it'll throw,
Because they can't pay
it'll throw lean, but here's the thing, I understand the needs of citizens that may have needs, but if they're in a position that they can't obtain the need, doesn't mean the rest of the citizens in the neighborhood has to suffer because of the grass or the
No,
rubbish.
it
or
means the neighbors and the citizens in the neighborhood needs to jump in and help. their
I
neighbors.
agree with that wholeheartedly, big time.
But giving them
There's
a
a
lien,
difference
though,
between being-
taking the lien on the property, no. I'm
If
not
you just
for
wanna
that.
be lazy and trashy, that's one thing. But if you are legitimately either waiting to pay somebody to mow it, because you can't physically do it, or this, that, or the other, like, that needs a lot of more
So-
specifics.
So, Councilwoman Sherman, what do you suggest to address, grass and rubbish?
Well, number one, I don't think the trash should be involved with the grass. Start there, because like I said, I asked what the trash stood for, but if you're talking about having to pick up your yard just good enough that you can mow it, then okay. But if you're actually talking about what I would consider trash, which is piles of rubbish and everything else around your property, then I think that should jump back up to that 30-day thing.
30.
Yes, the trash should not be involved in the grass, as far as I'm concerned. And the grass should be at least 10 days.
Well,
What if you work something out too, like, first offensive and repeat offenders? Because
Yeah.
we all know there's people in this town that we clean the property up, or people clean the property up, and a week later, it's right back to the same way. I mean, you can't battle that portion of it. I am with you on the elderly people, especially if you're really gonna go out full force tomorrow, and it's like, hey, we're gonna hammer these people. Yeah, you're gonna have to give them some time. It's one thing, grass, 3 to 5, I could kind of understand that. You talk trash, there's people's yards that are, they're trash. Like,
And there is a grant that's been, given. It's not, no, but that would give those, the people who are working, the Louisiana Concerned Citizens, it would give them a little time to find the elderly and the disabled and the people who can't do it and help them get their property to a point where it will be acceptable, rather than just going out and starting to nail these people.
Well, I think the problem is, I mean, yes, we would like to enforce the laws that have been put forth on the city. But, you know, in talking with our code enforcement person, he's not a heartless, uncompassionate person. I mean, he has common sense and, you know, he's indicated to me if they're making an effort or if there's a certain circumstances, you know, he has the ability to make those calls. I mean, he's not a heartless
Okay, so
person.
we're going to give we're going to put a human element into this.
Well, I mean,
It's not going to just be.
you all have.
It is on your yard.
He's a human element. He's not a heartless person. He's. So there is some discretion that's going to be used by him. And, you know, if someone is making progress, it's not, we're gonna slap you with the ticket if you didn't get the 30 days or the 90 days. As far as if they're making progress towards that, that's all we're asking. Because, I mean, we have a very beautiful city. And people don't want to live where there's trash, and we don't want to continue to look blighted. And so it's a process, and right now there is no process. So keeping in mind that the code enforcement officer does have discretion, we need to have some type of process in place that this is the thing. The other thing that I would like to discuss with our city attorney is, what are the things that she needs, for the people who seem to not care or have the ability to not care and aren't making progress. So we need to have some type of action for them as well. And again, I have full faith in our code enforcement person to make those decisions in a reasonable and just manner.
Having gotten one of those code enforcement letters for a tree that had fallen, I was given 15 days, or $500 for every day after 15 days. Looking at the ordinance, there was no 15-day thing outlined in the ordinance. So all they're trying to do is put in the actual, instead of it being at the discretion of Jeff at that time, that I had 15 days in the middle of a snowstorm.
We want to take what's arbitrary out of it.
Exactly.
And that there's a certain system, a certain process that we're going to do.
And I got no notice other than in the mail, mailed, I don't know when, because it was an undated letter with a phone number on it that didn't exist.
So
So-
what's going to happen now, if you saw your tree that fell in your yard and needs to clean up, you would get something on your
Come to
door.
my door and talk, yeah.
Come to your door, knock on it, here it is, or if you're not home, take it to the door and you'll follow up with a letter. You have a bill, you'll have a phone number to call and discuss with them. He's gonna come back by. And when he comes back by after 30 days, then it's gonna be an official warning for another 30 days. So that gives you 60 days for your limb to be cleaned up. And then that's gonna be an official warning. Then after that, 30 days, then you're gonna get a ticket. And hopefully,
Which seems more reasonable.
it's a process.
Oh, sorry. So back in the early 2000s, I was the code enforcement guy. Okay, and we did a, and this might not work for you guys now, but we used a wooden stake with a bright yellow or bright pink sign on it. We stapled the daggone thing to it, we drilled it in the yard, gave people 10 days for grass. That spot was on there, and then if you had rubbish or trees or trash, what have you, that was a whole different section, we just checked that one. That one meant you, grass didn't mean you this time, all this other stuff did. And it gave you 30 days on that stuff. Okay, but in the meantime, I had to go make contact with them and get a weekly update. They couldn't wait their whole 30 days and then on the 30th day, they're like, see, I'm working on it today. They had to show progress within that 30 days in order to get extended. And it seemed to work. And if they just flat blew you off, then they started getting tickets after the 30 days. But if there was work being done, you worked with the people working to satisfy the problem. I'm not sure when that all got thrown out and decided to leave it to Jeff to decide who gets 15 days and who gets 10 and who gets 6. But I mean, if the notice is there, and I don't recommend taping it to anybody's door because we did that and then it pulled paint off of doors and then we were paying for paint to be on doors. So you don't want to, the stake in the yard, as much of a headache as it's going to be for you, it works. And it takes any liability off of the city.
Can you put a stake in the yard and put one of those door knockers?
Yeah, and we did go to door knockers too. They got the little hole cut out. You just slide it on the door. But taping it to the doors was a terrible idea.
So regardless of the process, there is something that I found in the ordinances, and maybe that you can enlighten me, because there's a lot of ordinances that I'm slowly getting through. I've got about 50 pages.
Right.
But there's no process, and so we just want to have some type of process that is
Right.
not arbitrary.
Sure.
And as far as the stake and the door hanger, that's all stuff that we can work out without a vote of the board. But as far as the notice of the people and the timeline.
Well, I think 10 and 30, 10 for grass, no more, no less. And then 30 for everything else with progress happening throughout that time, I feel is fair to the people.
So with trash, and I'm gonna call it generic trash, not the mounds of junk. Just generic trash. Right now they have anywhere from 12 to 20 days to get done.
Across the board, 30, and you just take, he goes by,
No, it's-
the town ain't big, it ain't that big where he can't look at it within that week to see if things have changed.
Can there be a process putting the condemned and the last 30 days, when you get a ticket in 30 days, actually ends up in 90 days, and then condemned 30 days after that? There have to be a process put in the middle of that where maybe they come forth to the council. And we go and maybe check it out and see how bad things are, or see if they need help, maybe we can get help or.
Well, so we have an appeal process, we do have an appeal process. And one thing, using the terminology of condemn, those are
It's
condemnable.
temporary.
No, when we're talking about that, and it may not have been appropriate to put it in this list here, but usually if you're using that word, it's condemnable property. The roof's coming in, windows are busted out, no one's living there, it's abandoned, that's.
So then it
so-
should really be on here, there should
Well-
be something else in between that one and then the last
So-
step, of which we're gonna give
so-
you serious.
Yeah, we're talking about large rubbish and everything else. The house may not be condemnable, but the property is because of the rubbish, but it doesn't mean that, there's some the definition of that should have been kind of weighed out a little bit more. But I agree. The number one issue that I hear from any and all constituents is trash in our city as far as cleanup. That's the number one issue as a whole for our city. One of the things I ran on as far as being fair and consistent to all constituents, regardless of rank or social status or anything of that nature. What's good for one is good for all. So whatever, we set that bar out, that is the bar that we gotta reach to. So.
When I done code enforcement, it didn't matter who you was. You can ask ex-mayor Don Giltner. He was asking me to go around, measure trees over sidewalk. 8 foot over sidewalk, 14 foot in the roadway. He was the first one that got the letter. So you can ask him. That's the best way to treat it, don't matter who you are.
So, I would give, our city administrator an assignment to draft a resolution or an ordinance, taking all the information he received tonight to have, for the council. For the next meeting. And, get with our department heads and get some feedback.
So at this point, you're just talking about residents.
No. All properties. I don't think we need that in the motion. You want a motion for that?
Nope.
Okay.
Next thing on the list for me is advertise for bids. One of the things that I talked about during the interview process is that there needs to be an audit done. I know that the mayor and the city have been soliciting for an audit through the audit state auditor. That hasn't come to fruition yet. And then I actually served in the House of Representatives with our current state auditor, and I put in a personal call and I'm soliciting for him to do a state audit as well. But if that does not come to fruition, then there should be some type of private audit going on. And I would like to advertise for a bid to do an audit of our current finances.
And
request
Yes.
to have the state audits. How long until we would have an answer?
Well, I can't even get an answer with that. Scott told me that he is aware and that they have not made a decision. And that's all he was on.
I don't want to see the city spend money that we don't have to yet. I think we should maybe make a second phone call. Because we do need to get this audit done. However, we should see if we can get it done at a limited cost at first.
So with that, I don't disagree with you. I would suggest instead of going out for bids, let's do a request for proposals. And that way at least we can get a scope of work that we're looking for and lay it out. And then advertise for a request for proposals. That doesn't mean that we're going with anybody. And that approval won't be granted or fulfilled until this council approves otherwise.
Two things. I'll go backwards here because I figured you was going to go like residential to commercial. 17 months I have been reporting that a building is, it's being lived in. But where is that gonna
We're
go?
past that. We're talking about our next item on our agenda. You have to catch us after the meeting or later. We need to cut that discussion off. We haven't taken no action on that.
I know, because it's still living where it's Wonder Falls.
So request for proposals.
I will start that process. The next one, we have.
I'm still, I'm asking the council if they have any, if they entertain a motion to draft scope of work and request for proposals. Motion,
I'll second.
any discussion?
This is for the private audit versus audit through state.
Yeah, so the caveat to that is, it's gonna take some work to get the scope of work laid out. That's what we're wanting, and then to advertise it and to obtain it. Hopefully, within 30 to 45 days, I'll probably have an answer. Say, otherwise, we're not spending any money except for advertising.
Already told us when I was at the auditor's office last week, when I sat at that round table with them, they were finishing my sentences. So they know what's going on. There is a spotlight on this town. Would you need? You said yes. Okay, so what they told me was the highest power in our county. We all know who that is. There's no contact been made from him. Second of all, they've reviewed this and they are willing to come in because whether it's rumors or everything, anything and everything from our cop cars not running on diesel to the splash pad, the $15,000 there. Kelly Henderson having his,
Let's get to the point.
they are
please.
willing to come, but like I told you in your office and I told him, they need people to come forward, then they'll be here and
So
the city
don't be
isn't saying-
misconstrued. We're getting a plan B in place. in case they
I
don't.
get that, but you have
So-
also, like I told both of you, like, you need people to come forward and it's going to move them. If it's your office or if it's
I
whatever.
understand, but your discussion right now has no leeway to this
Oh my
motion.
God.
I understand what you're saying.
Ain't y'all both talking about the same thing?
It's not,
The
it's not.
audit?
It's not
It's
talking about-
$33,000.
We got a motion on the floor. All those in favor say yay.
Yes.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. I'm not trying to disclose you, but we just can't ramble on about something.
It's
that's-
not rambling when it's facts.
You gotta- I'll go entertain the discussion more. We're moving on.
Next item is the cemetery wall and the town branch wall. There are two areas in the cemetery wall. One is a concrete wall that needs to be replaced. The dirt and the rain is eating it away. When I took a tour with a council person, I was pretty amazed that there's not a corner of a casket sticking out because the water has eroded so much. That needs to be repaired. And then you have an area of a rock wall that needs to be repaired that also has been washed away. There are actually, and then you have the town branch walls. If I had to put a priority, I put the two cemetery walls and the town branch walls in that order. I'm asking for 3 separate bids to be placed on those.
There's no grants that could be maybe applied for.
So let me, what do you say? Say that again.
Is there any type
So
of
let me-
grants maybe?
Yeah, let me clarify this. So we do have FEMA monies, approximately $50,000. And Brian, my apologies on this, but it'll be in the paper this Wednesday as far as advertising for the rock wall and the concrete wall. The one that hasn't been done yet was the branch wall. We go see what those bids come back as for the concrete wall and rock wall to see how much of that 50,000 so that would determine how much money would be left over for the town branch. My apologies for not catching that. So if nothing else, that's just for council information, and hopefully we'll have bids at our next meeting for you all to approve.
But on the concrete wall, we need to make sure that it has a weeping hose, so the water when it goes down can come outside to putting pressure on the concrete and pushing the concrete back out in 5 years.
Yep. And we got some bid specs on that. We should have all that in there. I'm gonna add one more thing before we go to the next one, because we added on the agenda as far as street paving project. If you take a look, I would entertain a council approval to develop a bid package. This paper right here, Mid Rivers, right there. This is an estimation that they provided us with. I full-heartedly believe that when we go out for bids, that it'll significantly be less than that. So if you're looking at that, that's a grand total. If you look at this sheet right here, I kind of did the math on this sheet right here. You see this one, that sheet there? Okay. So all these streets with the estimation of $163,000. That's for South Carolina from 5th to 7th, 8th Street, Tennessee to the pole, right there in front of the housing. Virginia Street from 3rd to 6th, 13th Street from Georgia to Kentucky, and Martella and Forest Hills. So there's the estimation. Now, if you look on this, our American Rescue Funds, and if you look at our original email for the projects that we've done, that we earmarked, the council at that time took option number 1. And out of those funds, which we had $592,166 for, taking care of Tennessee and Cemetery Road, was budgeted for $452,723. With that, we went ahead and city employees repaired Hillview, and we paid $28,319 to have it paved. So if you look at the American Rescue up in the upper left-hand corner, we have spent or will have spent $481,000 roughly. And there's $112,000 left in the American Rescue Funds. If you look to the right, these are the certificate of participation funds that we have left outstanding to spend. Out of that, it's split 50-50, 58,000 for street and 55,450 for water. So if you take the balance of the American Rescue of 111 and add the 58,000, that would more than cover the estimate for repaving these streets. So what I'm asking for the council is to allow bid specs to be advertised for bids for the repaving of these 5 streets.
I got a quick question on that.
Yeah.
On that Fifth Street, Martello and Forest Hills, can you, what exactly is that?
It's all of Martella and all of Fort Hill.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Which part of Fort Hills?
From the intersection there at Center Court, up around the corner, as the first house.
And then all of Martello?
All of Martella.
All of Martella.
And so we'll put that out and respect specifically.
I'll second the motion.
We have a first and a second discussion.
Yeah, I thought the American Rescue Funds, previous suit said that, or he used it to repair infrastructure under the street. And then at that point, the street could be, the funds could also be used to repave. I thought there were limitations to how the American Rescue Funds could be
So,
used.
yeah, and that's been addressed in this. So like in option one, we ended up going with option one with 142,000 being left for street work. And that was approved. So if you, yeah, it was approved. And the remaining balance of the funds would actually be coming from the street side for the certificate of participation. Because we gotta expend those funds, otherwise we're just drawing interest and it's.
Yeah.
So on the.
Yep.
American Rescue, well, I call it COVID burn, whatever. So. How much is gonna be left? Okay, so your time, you know, your time's ticking, as we're going. They're gonna take that money back because it's unused. Follow what they're doing.
What's
So
the
do you have
question?
plans for that? Before
Yeah,
they
we're
take it back?
We're repaving the streets. That's what we're doing right now. We have a first and a second.
But I thought you said there would be 58, I might have misunderstood you.
Well, that's not gonna cover all the expense. It's not enough, 111 is not
So
enough to cover.
then
the
we
whole.
spent the whole close to 600,000 or whatever
Right,
it was.
we're not getting any funds back. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, like sign. The last thing is, I know Brian and the department heads are meeting, having a pre-construction meeting tomorrow for the East Street water tank repair. This came back for $138,000. We can utilize the remaining of the certificates of participation for 55,450 of that. And the rest would come out of enterprise general funds, which we carry balance about 400,000 on this. That's for information on it. Those bids have already been awarded and contracts have already been approved and signed.
Well, actually, I'm going to turn the next one over to our city clerk, printer copier contract. There's issues with our current contract. Turn it over to you.
Okay. Issues copier. Our current copier contract is up the 18th, so we have, what, 6 days left on our current contract. We are really rather dissatisfied with our current carrier, that's Daycom. We had an issue with one of our printers recently. We had to call tech support. They told us tech support makes their own schedule. It took them almost 2 weeks to get back to us and then another week to get out and work on the machine, which they did not fix. We're currently running at an average monthly cost of, well, it says here $680, but he's actually short. Some of our months are averaging over $800 due to overages. With Daycom, when we hit our overages, our print cost doubles. We don't like that. I would like our print costs to stay the same, even if we hit overages. Our machines are outdated. They don't staple, they don't collate. I know we have hands, we can do that, but it'd be nice to make lighter work. Looking at the GFI proposal, a 60-month lease on a brand new machine would be $473.41 and about an average of $126 a month counting our copies, bringing us to a monthly total of about $599.66. The exact same model on the other page. keeping with Daycom would run us $709.72. But that's only with the included copies they give us. If we hit overages, we are going to be hitting those double charges. So our copy cost is going to go from, I apologize if I don't have it on here, from about 8 cents a copy to about 16 cents a copy every time you hit overages. While it sounds little when you're running 6,000 color copies in a quarter and you're only allotted 2,500, of 16 cents add up to hundreds of dollars a month.
Your recommendation is GFI?
My recommendation is to go with GFI. They're a really good company. I've worked with them elsewhere. They have excellent customer service. Their customer service goal is to get your machine running within 4 hours. And if you don't, they start crediting you funds for the time that you're down.
Entertain a motion to allow the administrator to enter a contract with GFI.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor say yes. Opposed, like sign.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So in talking to a few of the citizens and some of the employees here, one of the aspects is they would like more places to shop. And personally, with me trying to find a house to live in Louisiana, it's been very difficult. There is really no inventory available. So I do have some contacts that are investors and developers. And I have talked to one to come out on Thursday. Has a variety of contacts as far as retail, light industry, and housing. Their first question out of their mouth is what types of things does the city have that would be enticing or spark their interest in the coming? And so in talking with the cities that I used to be a servant to, they suggested these different programs. We have the definitions listed of those types of programs. Every one of those communities that I used to serve and said absolutely no tips. Tips are evil. I know that the last item in Winsville, they were anti-Cronky, who used to own the Rams, and they said tips, all that does is put money in his pocket and make the citizens pay for it.
Grinds my ass every time I go golf ball, I golf balls and dicks, and I gotta pay Stan Kroenke 3%.
Correct. So I'm not advocating for tips, but I need the council members to look at the different local incentive programs that are available to cities and counties in the state of Missouri and educate yourself and decide what types of things would the council be interested in presenting as an enticement for different developments and investors to come to our cities. And if we had more businesses, more people living here, that's more tax dollars to do more services for the people that we currently have. And personally, my favorite out of all of these is three, but my first, and the dash actually goes up to chapter 100. Chapter 100 is my personal favorite. So if you have a light industry that would like to come and they have to purchase large equipment in order to do that light industry, chapter 100 allows them to purchase the equipment for their factory through the city so that they don't have to pay sales tax on that equipment. But there's chapter
353, there are community improvement districts, there's neighborhood improvement districts, and there's transportation development districts. Usually the transportation development district deals with roads that turn into or involves a road that MoDOT deals with. So maybe it's highway.
The sake of the CID again is what?
A CID is a community improvement district. I can give you the definition that the Department of Revenue gives.
We currently do have a chapter 353 incorporated. The last time anyone utilized that, I believe, was along Georgia Street there where the Eagles Nest was. So we have utilized that in the past. So the framework is already there to utilize the 353.
But that is strictly up for you all to decide. You are the elected officials and represent the people. So I'm going to be bringing these people in. The first one is kind of a whale that's on Thursday at 1 o'clock. I'll be giving them a tour of the town, and then we'll be looking at properties that are currently listed. I do know of properties that can be listed if I have a buyer or someone that wants to sell that have posted it on.
Are you asking council for approval to offer these up as potential incentives?
Correct. Now granted, it's got to go through the normal processes. They have to be zoned correctly. They have to go through planning and zoning. And then you have to vote and you can make amendments. But they also will be giving you a presentation on what they plan on doing.
Tim, I don't know if you even get to have a motion for that. It's just a funding instrument, right?
It's a funding instrument, but it's got to go through planning and zoning, and then whenever they present to the council, they may be asking for some of these, and it's important that the council be aware and educate themselves on how these work, so that if a developer comes and they say, we would like to take advantage of a NID or a SID, you are aware and make decisions appropriately. It was supposed to be added to the list. I can add it to current council reports, but one of the things that I was approached to was possible a senior living compound that deals with tiny houses. I did talk to John Phillips. He has presented to a draft of a proposal. It's also for you to read. You're welcome to ask questions now, or you can come up with a firm position. But this is something that you also need to make considerations. Besides tiny houses, they have been doing container houses. And some communities like them, some communities don't. Again, you are the elected official.
On that ordinance, I just want to alleviate some confusion here. That ordinance needs to be reviewed by the city attorney before you can even take any action on it. That's a draft notice that we have, that ordinance is not ready to be voted on or even discussed. The city attorney has to look at that for verbiage. We've been trying to get to set up a Zoom meeting for various reasons. We haven't been able to do this. So that needs to go to the city attorney for them to look at, to give a preliminary examination, answer questions.
We'll table. Let's table.
Yeah, let's just table.
The next item is internships and manpower. Currently, we have 3 universities that are fairly close: Full Wisconsin College, which I am an alumni of, Hannibal Drains, and Clemson University. They have a variety of interns that are looking for places. It has been a practice for many different entities to offer a stipend for them to cover their gas costs. Some of the things that are required is a minimum of 120 hours for that stipend, as well as a grade of an A or a B for their internship. I would like to utilize that. We currently have one intern that is participating now. He is from Missouri State. He is majoring in city administration, and he's currently working with our assistant treasurer slash city administrator and the county clerk. So far, he's been here for 6 days, and he's been an asset to our office. And so I would like to, I would like for the board to consider a $500 stipend for any college intern that is looking to participate with the city. The next one is by Midwest University. We have information in your packet on that one. And going back to the college one, I would also like to solicit them and let them know that we are accepting interns. The Midwest University one is the piece of paper that's called MIRI. It's a research foundation that is through. Most of these people already have their bachelor's degree and working on their master's. It is kind of like an exchange program with different companies. Midwest University is located in Huntsville. They get professionals from Peru, South Korea, and a couple other countries. And what it entails that they would be here for a year to 5 years. They are paying their college. Again, they would like a stipend, but it's not required. And then the last one, which is the one that I really like, is the career skills, military career skill program. What this is a program that is designed to help military men and women who are transitioning out of the military. The federal government will pay for their salary for 6 months as well as their benefits. It is an application process. The people that are coming to us, the city is not required to pay them at all. But the city is supposed to provide them with any type of training, definitely a log of their activities and such. After the 6 months, the Missouri Heroes Connection would take over, and they can participate for an additional 6 months at a salary that is agreed on between the council and the individual. And the Missouri Heroes Connection, they would continue that internship for another 6 months. The city would pay them, and then we would apply for a reimbursement of half of their compensation. So it's a potential that we can have an intern for an entire year, and we only have to pay for half of their salary the last 6 months. And this is a program that I would like to enter into. I met with them. There's information here that you can educate.
I'm not trying to interrupt you, but you've lost people on here. So are you talking about you went from college students to Fort Leonard Wood?
There are 3 different programs that are available. One of the
But you're talking
programs.
about police right now, right? 'Cause
I will be. So the first program, going back for the people online, is soliciting for college interns. They have to do a minimum of 120 hours, and we would give them a $500 stipend. The second one is the J1 program. It's through Midwest University. It's kind of like an exchange program that professionals that already have their bachelor's would come in and they speak English and that kind of stuff, and they would do like an internship for one or 2 years.
or which position, I think is what.
There's a variety of positions. They have to have professional, the Midwest University has to be a professional position. So maybe an assistant, water office position, something along that, maybe license bureau, maybe the city administration, if they are someone who's majoring in some type of government relations. So that the last one that I'm talking about is the military career skill program. The first 6 months, Missouri Heroes Connection for the last 6 months. Missouri Career Skills Program is the first 6 months, the federal government pays for all of their salary, all of their benefits. The Missouri Heroes Connection is for the next 6 months, the city would pay them and then would be reimbursed for half of their salary. I would like to see the city get involved in that. Initially, we would like 3 police officers, some street people, grounds people. If the J1 program doesn't provide us someone who's looking in this area, maybe we can pull more people out of the military career skill program for the water department, license bureau, corrections, whatever.
Okay. I'm gonna call a question on this. So council, basically, there's 3 different programs that we can apply and utilize. We've already had one intern, who's doing a heck of a job, and city clerk and myself and anyone else in that office, Alyssa, and all can attest. I would like to approve a $500 stipend for any internship. For the college, yeah. For the college internship. And I'd like to, this can be all inclusive. If we have any J1 or veteran liaisons, those will all be brought to us one at a time or whatever. I want to give the city administrator approval to apply for that and see what kind of feedback we get. And if we get some applicants and want to come to work for us, it's a good way to get some quality people in here with the assistance of the state and the federal government to assist with salaries to help us out.
Now, on July 27th at Fort Leonard Wood, July 27th at Fort Leonard Wood, they are having basically a large group. I don't know if I don't think it's battalion, but a group of young men and women that are leaving the MPs part of the military, and we're going to have basically a huge sign-up session for the military careers program. So I would like to have the police chief go down with me to Fort Leonard Wood on the 27th, starting at 8 o'clock, to see if we can find some more police officers that have already been trained and been working as an MP.
Any questions? We'll break it down. I'll entertain a motion to pay a stipend for college interns.
I do have a question, I'm gonna break it down. How many do you think that's gonna be in like, just, we'll say 6 month period? Do you foresee us having more than one ship going on at the same time?
Well, absolutely. I mean, if you look at, so if you look at my office in Jefferson City, you know, I had one intern from Zoo, one from Lindenwood, and I had 2 from Culver Stockton. So I had 4 at one time, and I had plenty to keep them busy. As far as the college goes. As far as the J1 program, that's feast or famine. When they have a college student that applies to be part of the exchange program, they're already graduated with their bachelor's, they're looking for professional opportunities. So they have to apply for that, and once they do that, then West University reaches out to all their contacts and say, we have someone that wants to further their education in the graduate program through research and participation. And so that's going to be a little bit tougher, but I think we can get maybe 1 or 2 of those.
Like the person we have right now, what's the length of time that he's interned for here?
So he's going to do,
6 months?
so he's going to do more than 120 hours. So he's here for the entire month of June, and then he's going to be sporadically in July until he goes back.
I was just wondering the cost to the city of the $500, depending on how many people we're gonna revolve in and out.
Put a cap on it.
Yeah,
Well, that's fine too. I'm good with that as well. You can have as many or as few as we'll accept. And then as far as the military career skill program,
yeah.
I plan, that's really my favorite one, because they basically get a year trial, and after 6 months, they can decide to go somewhere else or stick with us. to stick with us, then we'll get reimbursed for the last 6
My
months.
concern is just how the revolving door is gonna go and how much they're gonna cost of it. I mean, can it be brought back to council every time we get an internship? Or
Right now,
revisited or with $500 and say, well, because I hate to sit here and tell you, okay, it's okay to do that. But then you turn around and maybe next week you get another one, and then 2 weeks from now you get another one, and it's gotta end somewhere is what I'm saying. You just can't just keep shoving out $500 for everybody wants to.
but if you look at 120 hours plus, divided by $500, I mean.
But they have to have it, but we can't look at it.
Councilwoman Sherman, when I entertain a motion for you, how do you want to fund the internship program?
I think that's okay, but I think it should be brought back and revisited to make sure that we are not spending way too much money. At the internship, they have to have it for their college and all that anyway, so this is a
Can we have-
bonus.
Can we have two?
Yeah, you can have.
Mr. Mayor, I think
What
that
is
works out to
Mr. Sherman's
$4.16 an hour.
I know.
That's
So-
okay, but it's still, we can't sit here and go 500 this week, 500 next week, 500 a month from now,
So-
500 6 weeks from now.
How about this?
And
we
what
do-
if they quit?
Can we come back and revisit it after, say, so many internships?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
I
let's,
mean, we can capitalize, I've actually.
I don't even know if I
I
would,
was leading,
but I would like.
A time a year? You don't
I
have
was
to-
leading-
Yeah. or
I was
we'll see
leading
how it
to,
goes.
what's the budget, $2,500 for an internship program.
That's fine. I'm,
But
with
that,
that,
I can't,
and
I
we can
can't
come
make
back.
that motion, someone has to make that motion.
I take the motion to cap this $500 for the first go around in internships for their stipend, stipends money.
We have a motion? We have a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes?
Yes.
So,
And how much longer is this gonna go?
And, J1 program, I don't know if there's any motion that's needed unless you got one already on the books.
I like
Yeah, I just need your approval. Just utilize
Like
the
council,
program.
do we approve, let me utilize the program, J1 program?
Yes.
All right, have that in motion?
I make a motion to approve the J1.
That motion?
I'll second it.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, say yes?
Yes.
Missouri Career
I didn't hear,
Skills-
I didn't hear Clinton Keller. Did you vote?
Yes.
Missouri
You'll have
Career
to
Skills
say
Program,
$1.
Missouri Heroes Connect.
And the final one is, repeat again,
Missouri Career Skills Program and the Missouri Heroes Connect Program. They kind of work in tandem.
entertain a motion. Everyone understand what this one is?
That includes the trip to,
Portland and Wood.
yes. I'll make that motion.
First,
I'll second it.
and second, any discussion? All those in favor say yes,
Yes.
opposed, like sign.
All right, so the next one I'll make really quick. MoDOT has training classes. DNR has training classes, several of the employees would like a Class D license, and I would like to get as many people up to a Class A as possible in both water waste and water treatment. The problem is, in order for you to start applying them, you have to be employed for 6 months before you can even take the classes. And so that's an issue. And I just want to make the council aware of that. And move on to community outreach.
Yes.
Community outreach, we have 3 different programs. I was in contact with Missouri Outdoor Program, which is a tangent branch of the Missouri Tourism Board. They have a state pageant. I have connections with them, being on the Missouri Tourism Board way back in the past. They said Louisiana is a pretty town. We would love to come and have our state pageant here. Of course, I would like to do a partnership with the Chamber of Commerce as far as they take care of the ticket prices and stuff like that. And then the actual pageant, the judges and that kind of stuff will be run through the application process to be accepted through the city, but Miss Missouri Outdoors to run the rest of the pageant. So I just want a partnership with that. Painting with the Stars is my little aspect. I believe we have a program called the Riverfront Beautification. This is a program that I just got done doing in Florida. And it's a huge success for a very small community. I think it goes well with Color Fest. It's basically you have 9 local icons being in a picture. People donate money to the charities. The charity, each individual has their own personal charity. So if Mayor Carter's charity was the Boys and Girls Club, hopefully they're all local charities. Half the money that he collects would go to that charity and half of it would go to the Riverfront Beautification Program. At the end of that time, we would auction off the paintings and those would be divided as well. It's a win-win. The last one is through the Chamber of Commerce. It's called a Passport Program. It's basically a program to encourage people to buy from businesses in Louisiana. They would have a square, if let's say one of the businesses, we'll just call it Carter's Ice Cream Shop. They come by and they get a large cone, they get a stamp. They fill up the card, we have a drawing. Each of the participant of the passport would chip in $25. $20 would go to the prize and $5 would go for the administration and the paper things. The city part would be, they would be collecting the passports and drawing for the winners. The chamber deals with everything else. Those are the 3 programs. I don't need to know if you.
So with that, council, the Miss Missouri Outdoors, that's gonna be coinciding with the Color Fest, I believe.
So it's Painting with the Stars.
But as far as, do you need a motion from the council to pursue the Miss Missouri Outdoors?
That would be, you'd be approving it coming to our city and then allowing me to partner with them, like the chamber or the concerned citizen.
It was 2009 that when they were here and they ran our Color Fest Queen thing. So I went back and looked and that's when it was.
So I entertain a motion to authorize the city administrator to initiate that relationship with Missouri Outdoors, Miss Missouri Outdoors. So that's you voting, someone gives the motion if they agree. If they don't agree, that's,
They can go somewhere else.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. We have a first and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, say yes.
Yeah.
Opposed, like sign. Okay.
And the council.
So, council, I'm just go for council reports, just open the floor, is there any
We
council?
covered, yes, do we hear anything from the Elks on their sidewalk?
Yes, so they completed their sidewalk project and they were reimbursed approximately $2,400, I believe, for that project. Any other questions or concerns from the committee? Mr. Baker, do you have anything? All right, hearing, is there any miscellaneous business that wasn't? If not, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I just have one thing. Procedurally, I plan on having the agenda and the packet of information sent out to you digitally, so you don't have as much paperwork. I would like to do that Thursday before each meeting that you have. And that way it gives you Friday, weekend before the meeting, so you can look over things. Questions?
When I get something into my phone, I'm always confused. So if you have them print me out some, I'll pick them up Thursday evening.
And this is, I mean, we clearly, we are,
And you go
They
to
got
the
me.
city, my email should also print them out for me.
I'm going to send it out.
About the water.
Just shoot me a request that you'd like paper copies and I'll make sure you get paper copies.
This is about the property.
We will still have agendas for the public.
That's not the
Right.
problem.
Is there any, I think this is the
Too
administrative
much
thing.
for what?
We can go with this administrative thing. I mean, if we go out for bid, we can advertise bids without council approval, and that can turn back for council approval. Any other questions? But yeah, citizens want anything printed out, and there'll be a cost associated with it. We'll find out anything.
Way not right.
Are you being-
I know.
Are you being serious? Because tonight is turning into nothing but, it sounds like a money grab. And I'm speaking for a lot of people.
Got a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion to adjourn.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
We're not gonna print out $200 copies.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just trying to